Do you want to learn how to mask your identity to browse inappropriate websites and stream media while at the office?
Well, we can't help you with that. But among the many IT problems we solve, Barracuda's web security solutions keep online activity clean and ensure internet bandwidth performance. Reclaim your network, like 150,000 other businesses already have. To learn more about preventing web-based threats, visit barracuda.com/web.
National League Central rivals go head-to-head this weekend when the Pirates face the Cubs at Wrigley.
Swing and a miss. He stuck him out.
The pregame at 3 Eastern, first pitch at 4. Saturday on ESPN Radio and the new ESPN app. ESPN Radio. This is the Thundering Herd podcast.
You got to be careful. Don't pay too much attention to mythology. That's what suckers pay attention to. That's what the masses pay attention to. You be a smart guy. Pay attention to data. Don't get caught up in what the sucker fish. You know the old joke, if there's not a sucker on a poker table, it's you. If you can't spot him, it's you. People pay attention to mythology. Oh, the upsets in college basketball. It's a bunch of junk. Chalk always wins. First day, there's some upsets. It's always the big dogs at the end. So don't pay attention to all that stuff. Everybody's like, what if Wisconsin beats Kentucky? Dude, it's a 5-point spread. So's Duke, Michigan State. And I'm betting I'm taking Wisconsin +5. And I'm taking Duke -5. To me, Michigan State beating Duke's a bigger upset than Wisconsin beating Kentucky. Wisconsin's got NBA players. Wisconsin's right now, top to bottom, probably the most complete basketball team in the tournament. Michigan State beating Duke. Duke's got 3 guys that are going to the NBA. 2 are going to be stars. Michigan State doesn't have a single starter on that roster in the NBA. Valentine won't start. So Kaminsky's going to start and play in the NBA and score double figures. So now I'm saying Kentucky is more talented, top to bottom, depth-wise, than Wisconsin. But there's a reason both these games are a 5-point spread. Don't get caught up in the mythology. Wisconsin, Kentucky is going to be a 74 minute left. Duke's going to beat Michigan State by double digits. Personally, I'd be much more surprised if Michigan State beat Duke. I think Duke's going to run them off the court in the second half. Wisconsin, Kentucky is going to be a great game. So upsets aren't determined by seeds. Upsets in college sports aren't determined by record. They're based on the line. The line's 5. It's not 9. It's not 12. It's not 18. It's not Appalachian State, a 41-point dog to Michigan. That's an upset. 5 is not an upset. And never forget this. You can't judge upsets by record in college sports. Yes, Kentucky's undefeated. But they also, what do we judge undefeated by? The Vegas line. The reason we don't go by record is Boise State goes undefeated. Hawaii goes undefeated in football. And then they go get beat. Hawaii goes to a bowl game and gets beat by 40. Cincinnati goes undefeated, goes to the Sugar Bowl and gets run out of the joint. Why? Because it's all about your conference. The SEC's weak in basketball. I don't necessarily think Kentucky would have gone undefeated in the Big Ten. I don't think they would have. I don't think they would have gone undefeated in the Pac-12. I don't think they would have gone undefeated in the ACC. They went undefeated in the SEC. Because the SEC's weak in basketball. So this idea that it's going to be, plus we all admit college basketball is not what it used to be because it's too transient. So we all know, Vegas has come out and said, not only would Kentucky be a big dog, this Kentucky team, to the all-time great teams, Kentucky would be an underdog to previous Kentucky teams that had several losses. So this is, everybody's getting caught up in the mythology. Like my sister would watch a game like this. My sister doesn't know sports. Like, she knows like 7 athletes. 6 of them are Seahawks because she lives near Seattle. But this is, if Wisconsin beats Kentucky, all of us sports fans, it's not one for the ages. It's not Villanova, Georgetown. I'm going to have Jim Calhoun on later. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't like, coaches like Wisconsin. A lot of coaches think Wisconsin's going to beat them. So, and I would absolutely be surprised if Michigan State beats Duke. Duke right now is strumming it offensively in the half court. And I think Winslow's going to be an NBA big-time player, and I think Okafor is going to be a multiple-time 20-point-a-game all-star. Michigan State doesn't have anybody resembling that on their roster. Kaminsky's going to score 16 a game in the NBA. He'll get exposed he'll get exposed defensively. Frank Kaminsky will score in the NBA. Decker will shoot. He'll ride a bench, but he'll shoot. Heard brought to you by Regis. New way to work, 1-800-OFFICES, 1-800-OFFICES. So, I don't know how I get positioned sometimes as a guy who's looking for controversy. I'm the opposite. I would argue that didn't I create something, a fake controversy bit? Remember the bit and the reason I created it, because I think blogs are creating fake controversies. They're looking for clicks. So I created a bit on the show, which I play.
It's time for today's enormously fake controversy.
So I don't get paid based on ratings. I have a guaranteed salary. I don't get bonuses. I don't get rating spikes. I get paid a salary. My ratings are irrelevant largely. You know, they're good. They have been forever local here. But there's this sense I've been marginalized as Colin's looking for controversy. No, I went through 8 divorces. I see the world differently than you. And I never tell you what to think. I just tell you how I think. 2 things yesterday or over the last week have gained traction, controversial. None of them are. I said I'd rather have a concussion than a severe knee surgery as a running back. Apparently, I don't follow it, but yesterday on the blogs, people were like, how irresponsible. By the way, athletes in a recent poll would take a concussion over a knee injury. I'm just telling you what I do with my body. It's not irresponsible. You do what you want with your body. If I'm a pro athlete today and I can get a concussion or a severe knee injury, I would take the concussion every day of the week, twice on Sunday. In fact, I would take 2 concussions for a knee injury. I wouldn't take a third. I would take 2 concussions. By the way, that's what I would do with my body. You do what you want with your body. It's not a controversial take. That's phony sports blogs trying to get clicks. It's not controversial. By the way, athletes have been questioned on this. They agree. They would take a concussion over a severe knee injury. You only have 6 years to be a pro athlete. You want to be on the field. Concussion, you play next week. Knee injury, you're out. You'll take the concussion. The second thing, people in Chicago thought this was a controversial take. And I didn't think it was a controversial take. That I said if I was this young stud, Kris Bryant, and the Cubs don't have a lot of talent, Kris Bryant is their next star. Okay? He is going to be a star. He has dominated the minors. So this spring he comes out, and he hits 425. Folks, nobody can hit in baseball anymore. He's like Dave Kingman plus Mike Trout plus Willie Mays. He's 425, jacking it all. And the Cubs, and they do have this right, manipulate his contract, and they're going to start him in the minors for 12, is it days or games? Days. So they get to push his salary and own him for another year. And I said, if I'm the player, that would not sit well. That would tick me off. I thought we're partners in this. I'm the best player you have. It'd be one thing if you had a good third baseman and he was better than me in the spring. I get it. But if you went to your wife and you said, we're partners, but by the way, we need to get married in Nevada, not California, so if we divorce, you don't get as much. See how that plays with her. Yeah, see how that plays. Not well.
Colin Cowherd. Looking good. Well, looking okay.
The Thundering Herd Podcast.
Wisconsin beating Kentucky does not qualify as a major upset. Don't buy into the mythology. Let's stay on data here. You want to be a sharp, not a mark. In Vegas, the smart money, a lot of that smart money is on Wisconsin, +5. Now, I would take Duke -5 because I think Duke's going to run Michigan State out of the they're going to run them out of the building. But Wisconsin, Kentucky is not David and Goliath. It's Goliath versus Andre the Giant. It's 2 number 1 seeds, 2 heavyweights, 2 world-class coaches. Wisconsin, Kentucky is being marginalized as some mismatch. Wisconsin is a more complete team. Now, I'm going to take Kentucky by a bucket because I think in the end their defense will clamp down on Decker. He will not provide the spark he has in this tournament. They'll shut him down, and Kaminsky won't be able to carry them all the way. But these are 1 seeds. My second take today is very interesting. I said this. Everybody in Chicago said what the Cubs did with Kris Bryant, it's good business. No, it's not. You tell me, all you businessmen, is it good business ticking off your best employees? Is it good business ticking off LeBron James in Cleveland? Is it? Is that good business? If you're a company and you have 30 salespeople, but about 6 that are great, is it good business? Manipulating their overtime hours, ticking them off, is that good business? You see companies doing that with overtime, time and a half. Is it good business ticking off your best employees who, by the way, there's a rival across the street that'll steal them away? It's not good business. It's not good business taking your best anything and creating resentment. And the Cubs have the money and the resources to take care of Kris Bryant. They know he's amazing, but what they said is, we're going to sign a really strict prenup here. Prenups are fine if both parties agree. My wife said, you need a prenup, because I don't plan on getting divorced. But she said, you've got assets. I don't bring a ton in. That was her idea. But Kris Bryant doesn't like this. Kris Bryant's not a fan of it. And Stanczyk said, oh, no big deal. Happens everywhere. Well, let's see if Kris Bryant's upset. Here's Kris Bryant with Pedro Gomez.
I'm just extremely disappointed.
Oh.
I wanted it to go out there and my performance matter. And,
Very.
To me, it felt like it didn't matter as much as, I thought it would.
It
And,
didn't.
Yeah, I went out there, played as hard as I can. I did everything I could.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
and
like
I said,
Theo
I'm just
doesn't like
disappointed.
you. Theo Epstein doesn't like you.
I didn't say he was going to be happy about it. I said he wouldn't harbor resentment for 6 years.
Oh, he won't harbor resentment.
No, he won't.
Okay, then let's listen to the next bite by Kris Bryant.
I really don't want to talk about that right now. When I, put on a uniform and I'm in the Cubs uniform, and it's an honor to play for this team.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
an
really
honor.
want to go
It's
out
an
there
honor.
and try to win as many games as possible with whatever team I'm on. But, like I said, I try to stay in the present moment and not really think about
I try
the
to
future
stay in
too
the
much.
present moment. But his first words, John, just play the first words about any resentment. Play it again, John, the first words of that bite.
I really don't want to talk about that right
Yes,
I think you actually missed the best part for you. He said, whatever uniform, whatever team I'm playing for.
A little resentment.
Yeah, but it'll be 6 years down the road, and they'll offer him a big deal if he performs, and he'll forget about it, and this won't affect his decision one way or the other.
You're right. You're right. Nobody ever harbors a grudge. Every guy listening to this show still hates the girl that dumped him in high school. And he's 58 years old, and it still affects his decisions today.
Yeah, but when he's in the playoffs with the Cubs 3 years from now, he's not going to be thinking, oh, well, for 12 days, I'd go down the minors. He's going to be thinking, oh, my God, we're winning games. This is so much fun. My team's young. We're good. Theo knows what he's doing. I have the best manager in baseball in Joe Madden. Yeah. I want to stay here. They're going to pay me. It's going to be great.
Now,
you're wrong. It's fine.
You know what he's going to be thinking? Is they screwed with me, and the St. Louis Cardinals down the street treat their players with respect and kindness. By the way, Scott Boras brought up a very interesting point with his client on this.
The presumption that everyone assumes, Colin, is that this is appropriate under the CBA. Teams are prohibited from assigning players to the minor leagues solely for purposes of service time manipulation. And so if you can demonstrate that the club is acting in bad faith and solely for purposes of service time manipulation, then you can be subject to a grievance hearing, and there can be a review of the conduct of the club in each situation.
You know what Kris Bryant's thinking? I'd look pretty good in red.
Colin, I got to be honest with you. I don't think he's ready at third base, man. He's no Mike Olt.
Mike Olt's like a defensive end. He's built like J.J. Watt. He can't even bend his knees for a grounder. Give me a break. Forget the Cubs. Call them the Flubs. They messed this up. But it's funny, though. Everybody's like, oh, it's no big deal. You go to a woman and say, we have to get married in a different state, so if we get divorced, you don't get anything, or you get less. See how that plays. Again, I think prenups are great if both couples agree on it. But this kid's not happy with it, and I think people in America hold grudges. I think they do. I think they do. The other discussion we got into this morning that I thought was kind of funny. So we're going to Vegas for 3 days to do this Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. And I love Vegas, so I'm going to be there like Tuesday night till Sunday morning. That's as long as I've been to Vegas in years. Yeah, I am. I hate that song, and I think it's drippy and stupid, but I got to be honest with you. If you can give me I'm Coming Home with a little Vegas swag on it, yeah. I like that Coming Home. That's more Vegas Coming Home. But here's what's funny about that. So the pay-per-view is $99. And people are saying, oh, man, $99. Are you kidding me? You get to watch the last great fight in America with 4 of your buddies, and it's going to cost you $20 to $25. You're going to spend that on craft beer and chicken wings tomorrow night. Because nobody watches a fight alone. I mean, it's an indictment of you if you do. Nobody watches the Super Bowl and a fight alone except like serial killers. Like complete wackadoo loners who sit and eat cabbage all day by themselves. Nobody watches a fight alone. Are you kidding me? You put in $20, $25 and you get the last great fight in America? That you are, and we got into this thing this morning. What's amazing about sports? I'm not a material guy. I own an old car. I don't own a watch. Every piece of clothes I have on was given to me for some commercial shoot. I am the cheapest guy in the world, right? But I'll pay for experiences. I'll pay for a good bottle of wine, a good meal, for my kids to go to a theme park. I think life's all about experiences, not stuff. I couldn't give a rip about stuff. But I'll tell you right now, if you gave me all the sports in America, in the world, there's about 7 things I would pay for. I would pay for World Cup soccer with my Team USA. When the World Cup starts, I would absolutely pay top dollar for American World Cup games. I would pay top dollar for NFL playoff games. I would pay top dollar for NBA final games with LeBron. I would pay top dollar for Duke, Kentucky Monday night if they advance. If Wisconsin, Michigan State advance, I wouldn't pay top dollar for that. I'll just get the highlights. Duke, Kentucky, I'd play top dollar. World Cup, NBA finals with LeBron, NFL playoff games. About a dozen college football games a year. Like Auburn, Alabama, I'm not missing that game. USC, Notre Dame, I'm not missing that game. But I would argue, great fight, I may pay more than all of them. Outside of the Super Bowl or the national championship game, I could not believe. I asked everybody on my staff this morning. I think it's because I lived in Vegas for years. If you really think about what you would pay elite money for in this country for sports. Now, DirecTV has a current model where you do pay for sports. So it's happening, and people are clearly paying and buying DirecTV. I think it's a steal to get that fight for $100.
Colin, you keep saying it's the greatest fight or the last great fight. This fight could be over in 15 seconds. It could be Ronda Rousey. So you keep saying it's great. You don't know if it's going to be great.
How long was your first kiss? You remember it, don't you? Who cares about time? Great's great.
Again, you don't know if it's going to be great. It can be awful.
No, I don't think it's going to be a great fight. I really don't. I think Mayweather's going to win. I think it's going to be kind of a boring fight. But it's history.
Where am I right now? What just happened there?
No, I'm saying when you go to the Grand Canyon for the first time, you may be awe-inspired or you may be like, it's a hole.
So if you've never seen a boxing fight, pay for this one, but if you have, it doesn't matter?
It is the last fight in America that anybody's going to care about. There's a Russian fighting a Korean an hour later. Nobody cares. Boxing is so international, nobody cares. This is it, baby.
He's Filipino.
But he's a star. He's a star. I mean, what I'm saying in boxing right now is a lot of the lower weights are international, Southeast Asian. Heavyweight guys are Russian. Americans, by and large, aren't going to relate to that. This is star versus star. Pacquiao, Mayweather. It's Ali Frazier of its generation.
By the way, Colin, you're going to be in Vegas doing the show from there. How much are you paying to see the fight? Just out of curiosity, what are you actually paying?
Donut, bagel.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's my perspective. There's no reason to be a jerk about it. I do have access Americans don't have. The point being is, it is, oh, shut up. God, between coming home and that, you need a shiv right to the retina. I am over you.
Want more of the Herd? The Thundering Herd Podcast.
You don't know anything. You're a world-class blankety-blank. F-word, blank, blank, blank. Kevin Shule in Chicago. Kevin, what you don't get in pro sports and in life is not everybody is the same. You take care of elite people in broadcasting. You take care of elite athletes, elite surgeons, and elite attorneys. By the way, a very good source just emailed me on this and said, Colin, I talked to a front office member of the San Francisco Giants. They never talked about service time with Posey or Lincecum. No. They were both brought up, and the service time wasn't taken into consideration. Why? They're stars. You treat Simon Cowell different than everybody else. You don't do that to a star, a law partner. You don't do that to your top brain surgeon. You don't do that. Former Michigan NBAer Jalen Rose joining us with Prime Sport Hospitality. All right, you're going to meet face-to-face with Christian Laettner to settle the beef between you two. Take my audience back, Jalen. Where did all the angst and anxiety between you and Laettner start?
Well, it started two places. One, just as a pure basketball fan, my favorite teams growing up in the 80s were the John Thompson, Georgetown-led teams, and the Running Rebels, and the rest in peace, Jerry Tarkanian-led teams. Anderson Hunt, a Detroit Southwestern alumnus, is the 1990 Final Four MVP.
Yep.
When that 91 game was being played, I was at his house in Southwest Detroit watching the Duke Blue Devils in their undefeated season. So that would be the equivalent of somebody beating Kentucky this year. Not knowing the following year I will be playing against Duke in December and playing against Duke in the national championship game.
Right.
So not only was I an opponent, which you should dislike your opponent, but I was just not a fan of Duke and or Christian Laettner.
Totally get it. And then what's the second part? Now, why did it get kind of nasty back and forth?
Well, it got kind of nasty first and foremost because I played against Duke 4 times when I was in college, and we were 0-4 against them. Who likes somebody that's kicking their butt all the time? That's really what it boils down to. I had a terrific amount of respect for Coach K. Christian Laettner is one of the top players that ever played collegiate basketball. But it wasn't really all about him. It was about the Duke program. They also had Grant Hill. They also had Bobby Hurley, who was actually the most outstanding player of the Final Four.
And I met him last week, and I really like him. You know I love you. I really like him, but he is different. He has a different personality. What do you expect when you two meet today?
It's going to be all love. We're brothers in the National Basketball Retired Players Association. I played against him for over a decade in the NBA. We have mutual respect. The one thing that allows me to believe that the 30 for 30s are doing a really good job is when people watch the Fab Five doc and then they watch the I Hate Christian Laettner doc, they still tweet me or Instagram me and be like, he's still bitter about what happened against Duke. I'm not mad at my life. I'm on Colin's show. I'm on SportsCenter. I'm doing what I need to do. I'm just taking you guys back to a time where it was okay to dislike your rival as opposed to now when players are constantly hugging and kissing each other before, during, and after games when they play on opposite teams.
Yeah, you know, it is weird. I mean, I'm a big fan of player empowerment. I like the players, often African-American players, having power and having the ability to be kind of executives like LeBron. I don't think everybody likes it. I don't know what it is, Jalen. I can't explain it, but I think a lot of fans don't like NBA players being buddies and having the power to create these super teams. I don't know why. Does it turn you off? Because you're a former player.
It does not turn me off. When players actually start to make a quality business decision for what's best for them fiscally and winning basketball games and to put them in a position to win championships, everybody goes in an uproar. LeBron had to leave Cleveland if he was going to be a champion. What do? You go to one of the great puppeteers, Pat Riley. You learn how to get it done. 4 finals, 2 championships later, now you can go back to Cleveland and be the king.
I would say the 2 most entertaining teams, I'll say 3. The 3 most entertaining teams in college basketball in my life were the Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon Rebels, the Fab Five team, and the Phi Slamma Jamma teams. To me, those are the 3 greatest teams. If you YouTube the Fab Five, the Rebels, and Phi Slamma Jamma, it looks like an NBA game. The college basketball game today, Jalen, is at times for me tough to watch. What would you do to speed it up, or is this just what it is now?
The coaches, they have their fingertips in every possession. You know how in the NBA when Rajon Rondo was trying to call a play and Rick Carlisle and him, they got into a dispute?
Yeah.
Well, in college basketball, that happens on every single possession. When you watch guys bring the ball up, they're looking over their shoulder like somebody trying to reach in their pocket, looking at the coaches. And lastly, when you're not a professional and you're playing collegiate basketball, there are going to be a couple of guys that can't make an open shot. They can't finish around the hoop. They deserve their scholarship, and they're productive collegiate players. But what happens is you could double team and or triple team and shade the players that are really effective and efficient offensively, forcing the basketball to the players that are less efficient. Thus, you get a missed shot, you get a rebound, and we're going the other way.
Jalen Rose, former Fab Fiver, with Prime Sport Hospitality, setting up he and Christian Laettner today in Indianapolis. All right, I think Wisconsin, Kentucky, I don't think it would be a huge upset. I think it goes down to the wire. I do think Duke beats Michigan State. It's a coin flip, Duke, Kentucky, but I'll say this. Wisconsin's a 5-point dog. We've never thought upsets are based on seed or record. I think Wisconsin can beat Kentucky. I wouldn't be shocked. Would you?
I would not be shocked because when you make it to back-to-back Final Fours, and I was fortunate enough to do that, you have a certain character about your team where you're not going to crumble under the moment. And Frank Kaminsky's shown that he's a terrific player. He will be a lottery pick, deserves to be an All-American, probably going to be the player of the year. Sam Decker's the player that stepped up and played to his potential, knocking down threes, driving to the basket. Bo Ryan has done a terrific job with that basketball team. But I'm going with the Kentucky Wildcats. Karl Anthony Towns scoring on the post using his size. Willie Cauley-Steiner's defensive versatility. The Harrison twins, sophomores playing with confidence. Aaron Harris, a big shot maker. Trey Lyles at the 3, at the 4, causing matchup problems. I just think Kentucky, their depth is going to be too much for Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think Duke's absolutely better than Michigan State. I mean, I think they have 3 players in the NBA by next year, and I think 2 of them, Winslow and Okafor, are going to be great pros. I think Duke's going to hand it to Michigan State. Do you think it's close?
I do think Duke will probably win by double digits because Tom Izzo has been doing this thing with magic, literally. Like, I appreciate Dawson, Trice, and Valentine, what they've done in the NCAA tournament, but as a 7th seed, this is all about the coaching job of Tom Izzo. And it's unfortunate in collegiate basketball when we talk so much about the madness. You look at the women's game, there's 4 number 1 seeds in the Final Four. You look at the men's game, 3 of the 4 teams are in the Final Four are number 1 seeds. But I'm with you on the Duke Blue Devils advancing. Jahlil Okafor is terrific on the post. He has the ability to face up and make a shot, make a play for himself, to turn over both shoulders. The difference a lot of times in terrific programs like Kentucky and Duke, who have 17 of the overall 18 McDonald's All-Americans in the Final Four, you get depth at the forward position. And that's where Lyles for Kentucky, that's where Winslow for Duke. You can play them at 3, you can play them at 4, and a lot of times they're just as good and or have the size to compete inside and on the perimeter. Watch for Cook making quality shots for the Duke Blue Devils to help them get to the finals.
Jalen Rose, great talking to you, buddy.
I appreciate the love. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, a lot of these Cub fans with Kris Bryant, you know, people think differently. I have a cell phone because I've been in this business 30 years, full of athletes, full of former athletes. I go to dinner with athletes. They don't think like the average guy. They want to be taken care of. They expect you to be more loyal to them than other employees. They're alpha males. They've gotten the cutest girls. They've gotten the most money and the most stuff. You start messing with elite athletes. The reason they're elite athletes, they have a chip on their shoulder. Michael Jordan today is still bitter and petty. He's petty. Hear his Hall of Fame speech? After all he's accomplished, after the $800 million, he's still petty. The idea that Kris Bryant's just an average baseball player, I'm telling you, it's like rich and poor people think differently. Not better, but differently. What poor people or people without these great means would think of something, and it would be offensive, a rich guy may be so arrogant or disconnected or narcissistic, he doesn't see it at all. So I'm telling you, elite athletes don't see the world like you see it. They want and demand Boris and service and time and money and now, and they're not patient. And this Kris Bryant kid's 23. He's older than Bryce Harper. He wants to get paid. He doesn't want you to keep kicking free agency down the road. They don't think like that. You could hear from his thoughts. He was mad. He was bitter. He was angry. Whoever I'm playing for down the road. That was a message to Theo Epstein and the Cubs.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Dan Dakich, a former coach, a player. His son now is a college player. He's a radio host and a great one. And it's interesting because I started my show today saying that I think Duke is going to handle Michigan State. I think they'll pull away and they'll win comfortably. I think Wisconsin, if they beat Kentucky, I don't see it as a massive upset. I don't think you classify college basketball games by seeds or records. I think you look at the Vegas line, it's a 5-point game, and I think right now as a complete team, you can make an argument Wisconsin's the most complete team and has the best coach. So I don't see Wisconsin beating, but Dan's played it, he's coached it. Put your coaching hat on, Dan. Can Wisconsin beat Kentucky? Do you think it's how possible?
Oh, I think a 5-point line is accurate. I think you got to say Kentucky's the favorite because, Colin, let's face it, and I think you talk about this all the time. There's a hell of a difference between playing with somebody and actually beating them. You know, you come out and say, well, Notre Dame played with them. Yes, they did. Had a chance to win. Yes, they did, but they didn't get it done. Kentucky was flawless down the stretch. I wrote an article for ESPN.com as the tournament was announced, and I really didn't pay attention to when they would play, but I thought the three most difficult teams, or the three teams that had a chance, were Notre Dame, Wisconsin, and Duke. I didn't realize they were going to play them all in the same order, but, yeah, there's no doubt. This is not, I don't think, a monumental upset should it happen. Now, I think it'd be an upset, and I think Kentucky's going to win, but you've got a team in Wisconsin that's been good all year, really good all year, and it didn't matter what they faced, other than when they lost Kaminsky and Trey Jackson 1 or 2 games. But, no, the Vegas line, I think, has it right. That's a tough one if you're a gambler.
Now, when you look at a guy like Willie Cauley-Stein, who's going to be, I think, at the NBA, he's going to be a very good defender. Who are they going to put him on? You got to pick your poison. Do you want to go after Kaminsky or Decker? What do you think Kentucky does defensively against Kaminsky and Decker?
Well, I think they do a variety of things. I think they can put Willie Cauley-Stein on Kaminsky, and then they have a variety of options on Decker, including the Harrisons. You know, Decker is 6'9", 6'8", but he doesn't really go down in the block, and so you can you can guard a lot of things, or you can put a lot of people on Decker. Here's the thing from a coaching standpoint that you never talk about, Colin, but it's true. Water finds its level, right? Decker is on fire from the three-point line. Decker's about a 34, 36% three-point shooter. You know what that means? That means he's got about an 0 for 5 coming from the three-point line. You know, you go nuts. It always evens out. So I think Kentucky can do that. I think the one thing that is interesting is what they're going to do with Trey Lyles, because if they put Trey Lyles on Decker, Decker's going to go right by him. Decker's built to drive. He's built to finish. Trey Lyles is the one matchup in this game, and you mentioned the coaching. Bo Ryan is a master at this, Colin. He will find the matchup that he can exploit. Doesn't matter where it is, doesn't matter who it is, because they've got 5 guys that can play in and out. But he will find that matchup. He will go with that matchup, and he won't stop until you change that matchup. And that matchup is going to be Trey Lyles.
Yeah. So you like Kentucky, but you think it's close?
I like Kentucky, but I think that Kentucky in both of these games is playing the best equipped teams to beat them.
Yeah.
I like Kentucky for a couple of reasons. I like Wisconsin for the same reason. Colin, my favorite closer of all time was Bruce Sutter back when he was with the Cubs, and then Mariano Rivera, and that's who these two teams are. It's Bruce Sutter 5 minutes to go against Mariano Rivera. These two teams close. They don't make mistakes. They make you beat them. They're going to make free throws. You know, we saw what happened defensively with Kentucky against Notre Dame, and we saw what they did offensively, and nobody closes it like Wisconsin. So I'm telling you, man, whoever's up with 5 minutes to go is going to win this basketball game.
I think Duke handles Michigan State. Now, here's what's interesting. Tournaments are interesting, Dan, because the teams are different. Back when we were watching college basketball, you had a 21-year-old kid. He was starting to define himself. But some of these freshmen that Duke has, they're different players today than they were 6 months ago. You watch Justice Winslow now. He doesn't look like the same kid when the season started. Could I make the argument Duke this second is the best team left in college basketball?
I won't give you that argument because nobody's beaten Kentucky. But I'll say this. From the start of the year to the finish of this year, these two teams, Duke and Michigan State have improved more than anybody in very different ways. You mentioned Winslow. I'll mention on the other side the guy who's going to match up against him, and it's going to be a great matchup, and that's Brandon Dawson. Hey, Colin, I've said this before. Brandon Dawson and I are from the same neck of the woods, Gary, Indiana. We don't listen to people. It's always somebody else's fault in our world. If my dad was from, he did it, I did it, everybody does it. Dawson right now, he got called out by Montrezl Harrell, dominated him in the second half. Dawson right now has bought into time to everything Tom Izzo wants. Dawson against Winslow is a hell of a matchup. I'll say this. These two teams are so interesting, except for Jahlil Okafor. He's just a difference maker. But try Cook. Hey, man, Quinn Cook, he's not going to play in the NBA. He's like John Shire, Colin. He just wants to win. He wants to win the Duke way. Imagine this. You're a senior. You're at Duke. You're a hero. Hey, by the way, you got to move over to shooting guard because we got this freshman coming in from Minnesota. Wait, what? The only way Quinn Cook's going to play in the NBA is as a point guard. Well, he's playing shooting guard as a senior. Doesn't bat an eye. Leads the team. Same thing with Michigan State, Colin. Trice. Hey, you got to sit. We're bringing in Tum there, and you're going to be the sixth man. Doesn't complain, does it, team gets better. The key is going to come down to what they do with Okafor. And Izzo doesn't like to double, but he might have to.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's funny we've been talking about this, and I've always thought the NBA draft's a little overrated, Dan, because Minnesota and Sacramento and Phoenix, they got a zillion draft picks. These guys, these are not playoff teams. Even Anthony Davis takes him years and years. He won't make the playoffs. But if you had, I think finding great talent's fun. If you had Winslow and his body will develop, if you have Okafor, if you have Russell from Ohio State, if you had the number one pick today, Karl Anthony Towns, Kentucky, give me your GM cap. Who are you picking out of all these college players to be the number one pick?
I'm picking Okafor, and it's not close. I'm going to tell you why. He's smart. He's tough. He's coachable, really coachable. He has unbelievable ball skills for a big guy. I've never compared any big guy that I've seen to Tim Duncan, but I compare him to Tim Duncan. As he gets playing in college basketball, he's egoless. Duncan's egoless. He's going to become a really good shooter. Now, I think Karl Anthony Towns is really good, but he's more of an on-the-block player. I think that if I wanted to be driven crazy as a general manager, I would take D'Angelo Russell. If I just wanted to lose my mind watching a guy go half speed, then great, and then bad, then great. Winslow, I think, is going to be good, but I worry if he's not Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. But to me, the one guy that can change your franchise in this draft is Okafor. I've just seen everything that I need to see out of him, and I saw it in high school. We coached against him in AAU. He's Tim Duncan. I mean, he's Tim Duncan when Tim Duncan, I guess, would be a freshman. I mean, he just has all of that, Colin. And can I say one thing before you let me go?
I want to ask you about the Indiana lawmakers, so I want to get this in real quick.
Go ahead.
On yesterday, Indiana lawmakers, after all these protests for major business, including the NCAA, announced they're going to amend that religious objections law. You're a host in Indianapolis. What was it like the last week on the air?
Well, it was sad. I mean, it was sad that our governor was dumb enough to put all the citizens in Indiana at a time when the Final Four's coming here where we got to play defense. I mean, you pass a law, there's going to be X number of people on one side, X number of people on the other side. I think everybody understands that. But, when you come out and do what he did and force people that have historically hosted events with great hospitality, and people have come away from Indianapolis saying, man, that's one of the great, if not the greatest small towns in the country. Now, all of a sudden, we all got to play defense for a guy who was completely tone deaf to what not only people but businesses felt was necessary. It was sad. It was incredible to me and incredible to a lot of my listeners that this was the position that our governor, who's supposed to represent the people of Indiana, did. There's a lot of political reasons that he did it. And look, we all understand that, governors and presidents and whoever make decisions for political reasons that are non-popular. But this was so idiotic that you couldn't defend it. You had to play defense. And at a time when the entire country, at least sporting media, is looking at your city, everybody has to play defense. And it's as ridiculous a move by a guy in that position that you could possibly make.
Colin Cowherd.
The Thundering Herd Podcast.
I think it's the year of the small market. The Mariners, the Orioles, the Pirates, the Indians, the Royals, and San Diego. For years being bad, got a lot of draft picks over the last 10 years. A lot of really, really good draft picks, and those draft picks are becoming good Major League players. So let's go to a little baseball prediction. Let's start with the National League first, John. All right, I think the National League East is the easiest one. I think the Washington Nationals have the best staff in baseball, and it's not close. Gio Gonzalez, Zimmerman, Strasburg, Max Scherzer, Doug Fister. The Dodgers are the second-best staff. That is easily, though, the deepest staff in Major League Baseball. Rizzo's done a great job reorganizing that. A lot of people like the Miami Marlins, and they have Giancarlo Stanton and Jose Fernandez and D. Gordon. But I like some of the Mets' young arms. I like some of the Marlins' position players. I think the Nationals are in a completely different stratosphere than anybody in the National League East. National League Central, I always pick the St. Louis Cardinals, best organization in baseball, outstanding hitting lineup. Matt Adams, Matt Holliday, Yadier Molina, Matt Carpenter, Jason Hayward. That's the best hitting lineup in the sport. In my opinion, I'll take the Cardinals. They didn't hit as well as they should have last year. The Pirates are your second pick. I'll go with Buster only likes them in the series, so I'll make them a 2. I think the Dodgers are an overwhelming favorite in the National League West. They've got a great roster. Kershaw, Greinke, Ryu. I think Ryu is hurt right now. They brought over Brandon McCarthy. They've got that lefty from the A's who's never healthy, but he's talented, Brett Anderson. I think the Dodgers have the second-best staff in baseball. Very, very few holes. Now, I think San Diego's interesting. They spent some money. Their outfield, I don't think it'll be very good defensively, but they can hit. They've got 2 excellent starters in Cashner and James Shields. So I think it's Dodgers, Padres in the National League West, Cardinals, Pirates in the Central, and the Nats and the Marlins, Nats easily in the East. American League, to me, is much more difficult. I'll go Mariners, who Buster only picks to get to the World Series, over the Angels. Josh Hamilton's situation's a mess. Pujols was a dumb contract, and David Freese has been in a slump for 3 years. Eric Ibar's good. Mike Trout's probably the best player in the game. They've got a good starting staff. I never trust bullpens year to year. I mean, Kansas City's was great last year. I don't know what to get with the Angels bullpen. I take the Mariners first, the Angels second. The American League Central, I don't know a ton about the Indians. I know the Royals are young, fast, athletic. Again, their bullpen was great last year. Baseball's weird. A starting staff you can predict year to year. You can't with bullpens, and I don't know why, but you can't. But what they've done is they've built a team for today, the Kansas City Royals. Nobody's hitting home runs. You got to be able to get guys who are situationally capable of going second to home and first to third in a single, and that's what they do. And they keep games close, and they generate runs situationally late in games. I'll take the Royals 1 and the Indians 2. In the American League East, I think it is a roll of the dice. I don't think there's a great team. The Red Sox starting pitching to me and bullpen, nobody knows. But they got Sandoval, Hanley Ramirez, Pedroia, Ortiz, and they play in Fenway. The Red Sox games will be high scoring. I just don't know. Baltimore lost Nelson Cruz. They've got an iffy staff, but they can hit. And there's very few teams in baseball, with or without Nelson Cruz, that can stack it and hit. The Cardinals, the Orioles, the Red Sox. So I'm going to go with the Orioles winning the division and the Red Sox second. So I have picked Kansas City, Baltimore, Seattle, and St. Louis for 4 of the 6 division titles. And I think San Diego and Pittsburgh are also very good. I think after all these years of going out and accumulating top young players because they were lousy, all those players are now in the bigs, and the Padres have aggressively gone out, and the Mariners have gone out aggressively because they've got television deals, and they've snagged a few really good players. So, I mean, I went and watched the Padres last year. It was a AAA baseball team. They had no hitters. They had no hitters. But they went and got Will Myers. And again, I don't know if the Padres outfield can field, but they can hit. And in that stadium, there's a lot of space. So I'm not sure if they'll cover it, but they'll find the gaps at the plate, and there you go. There's my sportspundit.com. There's my predictions. Now, last year, I loved the Orioles. I said the Orioles would get to the World Series, and I think they lost in the American League Championship Series to the Royals. I had no idea the Royals would be that good. ESPN Radio presented by Progressive. Last year, over 3 million drivers switched to Progressive. Call or click today. Find out if you could save. I'll tell you what, the other thing, I'm looking at the Major League Baseball win totals, over and under. Tampa Bay's down like 77, 78 wins. Joe Madden, the manager, and Andrew Friedman, the GM, they got out of town at the right time. And also, I mean, they've lost Will Myers, Ben Zobrist, David Price. That was last year. Trading deadline move. Best manager, best young general manager. They got out of town at the right time. And the Yankees don't have the same draw that they did 5 years ago. So Tampa Bay's just not drawing flies. Now they've got a bad ballpark, leadership gone, and a bad team. And they don't draw when they had the Red Sox, Yanks at the height of their popularity, and they had a good team. I really think this is a contraction candidate in the next 5 years. I really do. I think Tampa, it's got an older, economically limited fan base, bad stadium, and now a really, really, really bad team.
You had a much hotter take this morning. Why don't you just say it?
What? What was my take this morning? They're going to get contracted. They're done. Tampa Bay, it won't be in Tampa within 5 years.
There you go.
They're done.
Fresh, hot sports take.
They're the Oakland, but they just lost their Billy Bean. And Billy Bean's keeping the A's viable, and they just lost theirs. So I think Tampa's in big trouble. And, you know, they always talk about getting a new stadium. That's like a couple that's struggling, having another baby. You know, like that. That's the worst move in the world. Like, you're struggling as a couple, so let's buy a new house. That'll create excitement. Or have a new baby. You two don't get along. The baby in the house, it's just more child support when you get divorced. It's not the new baby. It's not the new house. It's the relationship. It's not a new stadium. People in Tampa don't want to sit indoors. It's too hot and humid in the summer, so you have to have a roof. I mean, go look at Miami. It's great for spring training in spring. Nobody wants to go to those. They built a new stadium. Nobody goes. It's like there's a reason Florida took forever to get Major League Baseball. It's built for spring and fall baseball. It is not built for June, July, August, September baseball. It's just not. It's just not built for it.
You're in the Herd, the Thundering Herd podcast.
I remember reading Bill Simmons, I'm not joking, 20 years ago. He was called the Boston Sports Guy, and I was a sportscaster in Portland, Oregon. I just started. So how many years is that? I've been here 12, probably about 16 years ago, 15, 16 years ago. And there was this guy, my friend in L.A., Ron Pivo, is reading this guy. He goes, you got to read this guy called the Boston Sports Guy. It was Bill Simmons.
Interesting.
And so I started reading this Boston Sports Guy. He was very funny. He had a very funny line about a former Braves outfielder, Nixon, something.
Otis
Nixon. And I remember laughing and saying, this is fun. I very rarely laugh in print. And so I've known Bill. I followed Bill forever. And I'm not a sycophant. I mean, he listens to my radio show occasionally. I read his stuff. But I wasn't one of these I was aware of his talent. He was very good. You saw him emerging as a star, and it was very obvious. And through the time, I've always watched other sportscasters nitpick, all out of jealousy. It's 1,000% jealousy. They'll never give him credit. At first, when he came out and got hot, it was, well, he's overrated. And now the same guy's like, well, he used to be good, but now you've never given him credit. It's 1,000% jealousy. But the difference between Bill Simmons and sports writers all over this country is not necessarily intelligence. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. There's a lot of smart people everywhere. The difference with Bill, if I could be a psychoanalyst here, Bill is constantly looking for the next thing. Dan Shaughnessy in Boston's been the same columnist for 1,000 years at the same paper, writing the same columns. Doesn't mean he's less intelligent. It doesn't mean he's less talented. He's just not as aspirational. He's just not as professionally curious. The one thing I can say with certainty with Bill Simmons, who I know pretty well, Bill is always seeking the next thing. He's never, ever satisfied. It's not an ego. It's just that's who he is. And most sports writers I've met, I've known sports writers for, I'm 50. I wanted to be a sports writer. I've known these sports writer guys, these big names in the country for 20 and 30 years. They're really intelligent, but they don't have any aspiration. 30 years ago, newspapers were dying, and I would be telling them, you got to get out of this business, dude. Do talk radio, do TV. You're a good-looking guy. Get out of that thing, man. No ambition. So you have to remember, there's just two types of people. And even really, 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 really smart people sometimes have no aspiration. They want to live next to their mom forever on Long Island. Forever. Won't move. Rather be unemployed than live away from mom. And then there's other people, and I'm one of them. I've moved all over the country. I'm always just, let's go, let's pack, let's take a chance, let's just keep growing. I'm going to squeeze every little tiny bit of talent I have, and I have a granular bit, just squeeze the hell out of it. And so Shaka Smart took the VCU job, and he's going to Texas. And once again, all the fans, oh my God, he loves us. He'll never leave. They all leave if they get offered the right job. Because all these coaches, they're all selfish. I had a conversation 1 year ago. Let me think. 9 months ago. I remember where I was. I remember the day. I remember the week. 9 months ago, I had a conversation with one of the top sports agents in college sports in America. There's about 5 big ones. There's a guy in Cleveland named Neil. There's Trace Armstrong. There's Jimmy Sexton. There's Tom Condon. There's about 5 guys that run the whole show. And I'm having a conversation with one of them. And he said, Colin, they're all selfish. They're all about the paycheck. Even the ones you think aren't. If Duke and Kentucky came calling in basketball or USC, Ohio State football, they're out the door the next second. Folks, stop falling for Shaka. Shaka's going to live here forever. No, he got a really good offer. He's gone. I love Mark Few, but if Duke came tomorrow to Mark Few and he could recruit 5-star players and then give him $7 million a year, I'd tell Mark, get the hell out of there. You can go back to Spokane. Now you can get Okafor. Because right now he's winning 29 games with really good players. You're not going to ever win a national title with really good guys. Not if Kentucky, not if Duke, not you need his team this year was the best one he's ever had. They have a really good team. But late in the game against Duke, Duke's got NBA players. Gonzaga's got college players. NBA players lock down the college players. Just like at the end of that game, Kentucky and Notre Dame. Oh, it's close. Oh, it's close. 10 minutes to go. Kentucky didn't miss a shot. Not a one, playa. Not a one. NBA guys beat college guys. They may not beat them in the first half. They may not beat them on every play. But Duke squeezed Gonzaga, and Kentucky squeezed college players at Notre Dame. And the last 8 minutes of that game, both of them, NBA guys beat college guys. Shaka Smart now gets to coach NBA guys. He's been coaching college guys. Okay? Shaka has got Bill Simmons. Shaka wants to get next level. Doesn't mean he's a better coach at Texas than he was at VCU, but he wants to be challenged. He's aspirational. And all these top coaches, almost all the top ones, if you've heard of them, remember the guy at Butler? He was going to never leave either. Brad Stevens will never leave, really. A high school gym? I've been to Butler's. Really, he's never going to leave that. He's one of the smartest young coaches in the game. He's never going to leave that campus at Butler? Really? Okay, yeah. I mean, there was a study in September where almost 50% of women had a plan B after their husband. Your wife, half of the guys listening, your wife has a plan B. She's like, oh, I love you, honey. You know what? The neighbor's kind of cute. He's got a better job. And, frankly, my guy doesn't take out the trash. Sorry. Half of the women listening. You guys think you're the man? Half of your wives are like, gotta be honest, there's a guy at work I see. He hasn't put on 30 pounds. He doesn't comb his hair over. He wears cologne. He's hot. The only reason she's staying, you haven't made the big mistake yet. Shaka Smart's like, I'm just upgrading. Can't blame him. Jim Calhoun's coming on. All right, breaking news. Yeah, an arbitrator's ruled the Angels outfielder Josh Hamilton will not be disciplined by baseball for violating his treatment program. Baseball said they disagree. He self-reported the violation. Is that a big story? Oh, an arbitrator broke the tie. Yeah, okay. Well, let's root for Josh Hamilton to get his stuff together. You know, I don't really care about the ruling. Just want to make sure he gets it going. It's been tough for him. He's had a lot of these. You know, it's been tough. It's his issue. It's nobody else's, but it's been tough.
Check out The Herd with Colin Cowherd weekdays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPNRadio.com, and on ESPNU. The Thundering Herd Podcast. Major League Baseball on ESPN Radio. Last season, the Pirates reached the postseason for the second consecutive season, only to be sent home early after losing the wild card. Will they return for the third straight year? This weekend they face the Cubs, who have plans to make their first postseason berth since 2008. The Cubs and Pirates. The pregame at 3 Eastern, first pitch at 4. Saturday on ESPN Radio and the new ESPN app. Two of baseball's best go head-to-head in interleague action when the Tigers head to St. Louis to face the Cardinals. That one is gone. The pregame at 7 Eastern, first pitch at 8, Sunday on ESPN and ESPN Radio.